Okay, so here we have a 10-minute workout, bit of stretching, bit of strengthening for your back. It takes about 10 minutes. If there are any exercises that you like, that you want to do more, you can just pause the video. If there's anything you want to skip, you can. If you want to do it several times in a row, you can as well. So we start in with the cat-cow. You're starting in the tabletop positions, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and then you're bringing the spine up and down. When you're bringing the spine up, you're going into the cat, and the idea is to push the shoulder blades forward and down and give as much of a stretch as you can between the shoulder blades. You should feel a really nice stretch between the shoulder blades. And when you go into the other way around, the cow, then it's more about bringing the chest forward. You can also bring some sideway movement there when you're up in the cat. Ideally, breathe in when you go into the cow and breathe out when your back reaches up towards the ceiling. And again, some sideways motion there if that feels good. Breathe in. We are going to move on to the next exercise, which is going to be involving the legs. So same movement, but now when you breathe in, you bring the leg back, and you breathe out and bring the nose towards the knee. Breathe in, reach back, and breathe out, nose towards the knee. So it's not so much about the low back going down, but it's really about the chest going up when the leg reaches backwards. So chest up as far as you can, and then round the shoulders, shoulders reaching up when the knee is reaching towards the nose. So we're going to switch sides, same on the other side. Leg reaching back, breathe in and breathe out as the knee reaches for the nose. Breathe in as the leg goes in, make sure you feel that stretch between the shoulder blades, and breathe out again. So that should really activate that area between the shoulder blades. Get a nice stretch there and a nice activation as you bring the head up. Make sure not to bring the head too far up. You don't want to strain the neck on this one. So it's a nice neutral movement from the neck. Most of it is coming from the back. For the next few repetitions, we are going to lift one leg up and the opposite arm comes up at the same time. So we're not thinking too much about arching the back necessarily. Let the back do whatever it needs to, but it's more about bringing the leg and the opposite arm up as far up as they all go without straining anything. Your neck is straight and you're looking straight down for this one. If you want to, you can move on to a plank. You can also stay on your knees should you wish to, and then you swivel your feet so around the big toe to go onto one side and then the other, and you reach up to the ceiling with your arm. Into the plank, swivel the feet, lift the arm up, look towards your hand as well. Back down, swivel the feet, reach the arm up, and look up towards your hand. If you want to stay on your knees for this one, you can also do that, but if you want to challenge yourself, you can also lift up into a full plank. The torso stays as one unit. There isn't too much twisting going on there. See what feels comfortable, and the arms are locked straight so that you don't have to carry too much weight through the triceps as well. Back to the tabletop position, so knees under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and hands under the shoulders, and we're going to do thread the needle. So for this one, same idea, reach up towards the ceiling, look at your hand so that the neck twists along, and then thread the arm through. Look up towards the ceiling, look at your hand, and then thread through. The elbow is going to bend slightly on this one. My right elbow is bending slightly there. See what feels comfortable. Make sure the knees are directly under the hips so that your hips aren't allowed to twist and the twist is coming from the low back. At the end, if you want to rest your shoulder down and let the stretch ease the muscles of the back, then you can do that as well. Switch sides, again reaching up towards the ceiling and down onto the other side. Breathe in as you reach up towards the sky and out as you thread the needle through. Breathe in as you reach up to the sky and breathe out as you thread the needle through. And again, if you want to rest your shoulder and your head down and just push onto the arm to get a little bit more of a stretch through the spine in this position, you can do that and stay there as long as needed. So we're going to go into that's another core exercise, back into the plank, and you're going to thread the leg through this time rather than the arm. So bend the knee at 90 degrees, hip at 90 degree, knee at 90 degree, and then bring it straight across to the other side. On this one, the arm may have to bend a little bit to allow for the rotation, but try and keep them as straight as possible. Try and keep your leg horizontal to the floor as much as possible. And again, try and keep that 90-degree angle at the hip at all time. So 90 degree at the hip, thread the leg through, and then bring the foot back down. 90 degree at the hip, thread the leg through, and then back down. We're going to carry on with a stretch for the back, but more of a sideways stretch this time. So as the left hip goes up, the left shoulder goes down, and as the right, and the other way around. What you can do is pivot the foot out around the knee and then peek over the hip to look at your own foot. Once you've got the gist of that, you don't need to do it anymore, but that's a nice way to start. And then you can just go into that stretch. So bring the right hip up and the right shoulder down, and vice versa. You should feel a nice stretch onto the side of your body there. Sit onto your haunches. You can spread your knees out a little bit if that feels comfortable, and then with your fingers walk as far forward as comfortable. So that's a variation of child's pose. Once you're there, you can walk your fingers out to one side and get a nice stretch on the right side of your body there. Take a few nice deep breaths to really get the ribs moving. Walk back to the midline, and then you can walk your fingers out to the side. That's once they've walked as far away from you as they could. Your hips are not lifting from your haunches, they're staying down at all times. A few deep breaths, and then walk back to the middle. We're going to go into the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, and allow your chest to drop down on this one. Once you've got that nice stretch in the mid-back, let your head drop forward, get a nice stretch through the spine, and then you can bring your shoulders forwards and backwards respectively to add a little bit of side bending through there. So whatever movement feels comfortable on this one, you can just add it, let your head drop forward to get a nice traction through the back, and you can also pull yourself forward through the elbows to get a nice stretch along the spine. We're going to go into the puppy pose. For this one, back to the tabletop position, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and you're going to place your elbow where the heel of your hands were. Cross your fingers back together. They're not really resting on your neck, they're hovering above your neck, and then you're letting your hips drop backwards. They're introducing a traction through the spine, so the weight of your hips is actually pulling you backwards, and you're allowing the chest to reach the floor. Again, a few nice deep breaths in there. The forehead is relaxed down onto the floor. Your hands aren't applying any kind of pressure through the neck, but bringing your hands above your head is allowing the triceps to stretch a little bit more, and you're allowing the chest to reach down towards the floor, which should be a nice opening stretch for the chest and the mid-back, and you're letting the weight of your hips drop back to introduce a nice traction through the spine. Again, a few nice deep breaths into this position. Once you're done, you can stand up. I'm doing it kneeling down there to stay into the frame. Stretch your arms back behind you, so interlace your fingers and then bring your arms above your head. You're going to be bending forward there with your legs straight. I did it kneeling there. And then you want to stretch your pecs, so the idea is the forearm is going to be resting onto the door frame, and you're going to be stepping forward with the foot on the same side that you're stretching.